my goal tonight is to welcome Greg into our family. But before I do that, I also want to say a few words about Lee, because it occurred to me that most of you know Lee as she is now, this beautiful young woman. But I've known Lee since the day she was born. And I remember very clearly the day she was born. That was a big day at the McNamara household. And she was a most beautiful baby, as you can imagine. And I have another memory. My husband and I were talking about when Sharon, the older sister, and Lee were very little kids. And Eric and I were getting married, and their family had come to Winnipeg. And Sharon and Lee were so excited to meet a new uncle, and I guess to meet me, although I don't think I was nearly as important as Uncle Eric. Anyway, I remember I'd picked Eric up at the airport, because he'd just arrived in Canada to marry me. I mean, we knew each other, believe me. But, yeah, mail order groom, yes. And so I was kind of excited to see him too, but not nearly as excited as Lee and Sharon. And they would not leave us alone for even 2 seconds. And it drove me crazy, and I kept trying to think up little excuses, girls, well, just run up and see Mom, and perhaps Grandma will give you a candy or something. But no, they just wanted to stay with us. And so she was very determined, a very determined little girl, as was her sister Sharon. And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Anyway, my main job is to welcome Greg to our family. And I was thinking about that, and I've been thinking a lot about my own mother and father the last few days, because I know that they would have loved to have been here. My parents, the McNamara seniors, loved to party. They loved to party. And my father, of course, was Irish, and he had that ability to be sensitive and to talk about his feelings, and lots of things that I've seen in Greg too. And I think he would have loved you, Greg. And I don't know if you drink scotch and water. That was also a very important thing for my father. But as long as your drink was not rye and ginger, you'd be okay. Didn't approve of that. Just didn't approve of that. My mother also loved to party, and she adored Lee because Lee was so beautiful, even as a wee little girl. Lots of curly blonde hair. She was just a doll. And she always has been. She always has been.
Here.
Hasn't she? And I remember her as being a real gymnast as a little girl, too. And thinking that she should have maybe gone on and done a little bit more in gymnastics. And I remember her once speaking to me about it very sorrowfully and saying, I wish I could have. Do you remember that, Lee? Yeah. It was dramatic. Of course it was dramatic, and that's a little bit she has from the McNamaras as well, just a bit. But anyway, Greg, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the McNamara family, which is quite a big family, but also on behalf of the Werman family, because we've managed to make a rather big family too. And so from our 4 daughters and our 2 grandsons, and of course I guess I have to invite it from Steve too, of course, we welcome you as well into our family. And my brother Craig, who actually found a wonderful gift to give to Lee and Greg. He found a gift from my parents. It was my parents' jade bear that had been presented to my grandfather in China. And Craig said, I would really like to give this to Lee and Greg. And I said, God, I think it'd be wonderful if you're not going to give it to me. So anyway, I would like to welcome Greg to the family. And I found it very easy to fall in love with Greg, too. You're an easy guy to love, Greg. When he phoned me last Easter, I got this phone call, and he said, hello, Sharon, my name is Greg. I'm Lee's Greg. And he said, I'd like to bring Lee for a visit at Easter, but she doesn't know anything about it. And I thought, oh my God, how romantic. Didn't you think so? That's the kind of thing that appeals to every woman. I was just so impressed. Right away I was going to like him. Okay. Well, Eric's pretty romantic too. No, he's not really romantic, but he's as sensitive. He cries, as you notice, he cries a lot. So let's propose a toast, everybody. If you've got a little bit of booze left, or even a glass of water would be fine. And welcome. I'd like to propose that we welcome Greg to the McNamara clan. Greg. Whoop. Thanks, everyone.